Let's say you live among extraterrestrial beings with super sensitive hearing abilities and they are blind. Will you pet it? Well, a little disclaimer, they love to eat humans and have better running skills and a huge size, so running or making the slightest sound is no option. Now, do you still want to pet them? Hey there, welcome back to my channel. Today we will be doing a recap of the movie A Quiet Place. Before getting into our video, subscribe to our channel to avoid missing updates. Spoiler alert. The Abbott family of Lee, Evelyn, Marcus, Bo, and Regan silently scavenged for allowances while conveying non-verbally through American Sign Language. Bo extends for a toy shuttle reclining on a rack. Nonetheless, it is just beyond his range. It almost arrives, slamming to the ground, but Regan creates the last-moment catch, curbing any commotion. Lee enters and tells Bo to go locate his mom. Lee returns with some articles that hopefully improve the indications on their radio. He and Regan met Evelyn and Marcus. Bo engages them with the toy shuttle in hand. Bo manages to procure the batteries on his own and plop them into the toy shuttle as they're traversing the bridge. The toy begins to sound, enticing the close creatures. However, being deaf, she cannot hear. Lee spots Marcus on the ground and hurries to Bo, but he is too slow, and Bo is assassinated by a creature. Evelyn approaches Regan as she spreads in the fields of their farm and strolls her back to the house. Lee then begins to turn on the radio and send SOS indications through Morse code, though there is no reaction. Marcus deludes to ride the broken down truck reclining in the fields. He glances in the rearview mirror and watches his father approaching. Lee shouts him over and brings him back home where an expectant Evelyn awaits. As the sun goes below, Lee establishes a fire on top of the silo to give a sign to the other close residents, who in turn do the same. After dinner, Regan and Marcus fiddle a game of Monopoly. Something is trudging on the roof. Lee watches out the window. Fortunately, there are barely a couple of raccoons. Evelyn meets Lee as he's helping on an amplified earshot aid for Regan. She hauls him off from his job and the couple proceeds to dance while attending Harvest Moon by Neil Young. The very following day, October 3rd, 2021, Evelyn seized her blood pressure. She's expected to give birth in just under 3 weeks on the 20th. Then she hears the baby's thumping heart. Regan earns her way through the house, striding on the green paint imprints on the floor so as not to induce any creaks. Still, he places the hearing aid in her hand and leaves. Evelyn homeschooled Marcus. Currently, she's tutoring him in math. However, the task is cut short as Lee warns Marcus that it's time to go hunting. Marcus is worried that they will confront monsters, though Evelyn convinces him that his father will constantly protect him. She clarifies that he must memorize these aspects so that he can take care of himself as well as them once they get aged. Evelyn watches Lee and Marcus off. However, Marcus wants to wait, whereas Regan volunteers to meet her father, but Lee argues that Regan waits behind to help her mama. Lee then kisses Evelyn goodbye and evacuates with Marcus. Regan gets on into her room and sees the earshot aid her father gave rise to sitting on the bed. She turns the device on, but as anticipated, it does not work. She then starts to pack her book bag with additional clothing, a book, Bo's toy shuttle, and wire blades. Lee grabs Marcus to the river where he's established homemade fish nets to catch food. Lee misses supervision of the fish and it chucks into the water. Marcus virtually takes off running in fear that the noise will bring the beasts, but Lee clarifies that the howls of the river contain the smaller sounds. Evelyn climbs up the stairs with a suitcase of laundry. The bag gets snagged on a nail and she attempts to get flexible. While she struggles to get the sack free, she unknowingly uncovers a sharp nail in the staircase. Lee takes Marcus almost beneath the waterfall where he yells at the worry about arousing the close beasts and pledges to Marcus that he's comfortable. Afterward, Marcus inquires his father why he didn't enable Regan to come and if he accused her of Bo's death. Lee argues that he doesn't, but Marcus notifies him that Regan accuses herself. Lee clarifies that it was no one's fault. Marcus asks if his father, however, loves his sister, which he does. In that case, Marcus instructs Lee to say to Regan that he loves her. Regan earns her way back to the bridge where Bo departed, where her family has orchestrated a grave and memorial. She then grabs the shuttle out of her bag, shaves the wires that cause the toy to make a commotion, and and positions it at his tomb. Lee picks up Marcus and takes cover behind a tree as an animal arrives and murders the man. Suddenly, after spending the day in Beau's former room crying and remembering, Evelyn's water breaks. As they come home, Lee and Marcus see the red lights and hurry to the farm. Lee hands Marcus a flashlight and tells him to inaugurate the missile to attract the beasts away from the house. Evelyn's contractions are getting powerful by the minute. She is compelled to lie back in a bathtub and stay calm and quiet while the beasts move throughout the cottage. Meanwhile, Marcus runs into the area where he sets off the firecrackers, the explosions giving a loud enough noise for Evelyn to cry out without being understood. Armed with a laden shotgun, Lee brings about his way into the house and pursues the route of blood to the bathroom, where he discovers Evelyn laying in the shower with her budding baby boy. Marcus is amazed by the sounds of the rustling leaves within the cornfields. He flees in a different direction, roaming before thumping himself out from jogging into a tractor. Lee takes Evelyn and the baby around to the warehouse and heads underground as the kid begins to cry. Lee plops an oxygen mask on the baby and positions him inside a wooden crate where his cries are muffled. Regan gives rise on her way home after seeing the fireworks. She notices a light appearing from within the meadows and stops. Unrevealed to her, one of the beasts sits just a few feet away. However, her hearing aid generates some kind of high-pitched regularity that surprises the beast off, but also causes a fair amount of discomfort for Regan as well. Regan pursues the light on the ground to Marcus and adopts him. Lee recovers to the surface to discover Regan and Marcus. Regan and Marcus have earned their way on top of a grain silo and set a flame to grab their father's vigilance, hopefully, but they run out of lighter fluid and the fire dies. Still, Marcus is certain that their father will come for them. Evelyn wakes up to find the cellar surged from a damaged water pipe. She peeks over and watches her baby's crate floating, and just a few hoofs from him are located one of the beasts that have earned their path into the cellar. Evelyn creeps over to the crib and obtains her baby boy while mere inches from the beast. She slowly certifies and hides in a nook. Lee comes to the tractor where he discovers the kid's bag. Regan needs to evacuate as she believes that their dad will only occur for Marcus, as he nonetheless accuses her of Beau's death, but Marcus argues they wait for their dad on top of the silo. Marcus tries to persuade her to wait, but then he subsides through a trap door into the grain-filled silo. One of the doors falls over just inches away. Lee stares from on top of the tractor as this unfolds and sights one of the beasts decreeing towards the silo. Marcus starts to sink into the grain's quicksand, and so Regan swoops in to give him a hand, and they use the steel door as a resting platform. One of the creatures then jumps down onto the silo, but just like before, it flees after hearing the whining feedback from Regan's hearing aid. Evelyn gives rise to her way back home with her baby boy. Lee hurries over to the silo and embraces Regan and Marcus. Nonetheless, the beast is still near. Lee delivers the kids to the deserted truck while he clasps an axe from the tool shack. The beast slices at Lee, leaving a huge laceration across his chest. Marcus then shouts for him, but Regan nudges Marcus back inside the truck. Regan then begins listening to feedback from her earshot aid. It comes to be so intolerable that she turns it off. Evelyn directs Regan and Marcus into the cellar. She swerves her earshot aid, resulting in harm both to herself and the animal. Nonetheless, for the animal, the pain is so excruciating after Regan positions the boosted implant on an available microphone to overstate the answer that it deteriorates. Badly disoriented, the beast endangers the flesh beneath its armored skull and makes itself susceptible to a shotgun blast from Evelyn. And though they've organized to kill one, the sound of the gunfire draws more beasts in their way. With recently developed proficiency in the drawback of the beasts, Regan commences to use the earshot aid on the microphone, and Evelyn packs her gun ready to fight back. I hope you guys liked this video. See you in the next video.
Till then, goodbye.